All right, guys. Welcome to the first part of Unit 4, Server Administration and Virtual Environment. I need to delete the N directory and platform services. That's the second part. That's for the next set of slides. But before I go on and start talking about this unit, let me talk about the midterm for right now. So the midterm is going to cover Unit 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm not going to give you a study guide. You guys will be fine. It's open book, open note, open lecture if I have it recorded up, obviously. So you guys have everything at your disposal, even your computer. And don't expect questions like, oh, you're giving a situation, a train's leaving Birmingham at 3 p.m. and needs to get to the West Coast by 5 p.m. You have 14 apples and you got a watermelon. How much weight is it? Nothing. What I really want to see is how you guys are thinking, how you guys would approach things. Those are the kinds of questions you'll be asked. Like, for example, in a Linux server, what's the command to make a directory, for example, or what's the command to create a user, things like that, or explain when you would onboard somebody, how would you make their account, or if someone gets let go from, let's say Bob gets let go from his job, but now you need to close his account. How do you terminate his account? Things like that. That's what I'm going to be asking. So that's for the midterm. You can ask me questions on Discord related to it. I can answer any grading questions. Like, hey, I don't understand this question. Oh, let me explain it to you a different way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So with that being said about the midterm, good luck. Don't worry, you guys will be fine. I'll give you like maximum amount of time. I only give you one try though, so make sure it's like the one thing you focus on. I'll probably make it do thinking Tuesday of the it's Thanksgiving right now, so I'm thinking like not the next Sunday, the fifth week, but like the Wednesday of the fifth week, just to be sure. And as far as labs go for this unit, thinking 2 labs, maybe 3 labs. I won't make them too hard. It'll be simple stuff because I feel like the midterms will be a little more important. It's worth a good amount of points, about 200 or 250. I don't remember what I put in yet. Top of my head, I haven't written it. It's only Thursday. It's Thanksgiving, and I'm working for you guys, so please enjoy that much about it. I hope. And so that's about all about the midterm, guys. Sorry. So I kind of deviated a little bit for a second, but didn't mean to. So let's get into the server administrator and virtual part, environment part. Let's get into nuts and bolts. What makes a server admin and tools and all that fun stuff. So here's what we're covering. And I personally don't like that background when I think about it. But Windows Server administration and virtual machines. So how do you administer a Windows machine? It's pretty simple in terms of what you'll be using. Linux, I get into a little bit, touch on it. Okay, it's not going to be too crazy. That's why we do more labs on Linux than we do on Windows probably for this unit, because I want you guys a little more familiar with it. Don't worry, I won't make it crazy or something that'll make you freak out. I'm going to talk about users and group management. I'm talking about group policy. That's a different animal. You learn more about that in servers. So don't worry about touching that here. Patch management. I talk about why you patch, when you patch, how to deal with patching, and then server hardening, which is probably one of my favorite things, where you learn how to like make your server role harder to get into. Hence what's called hardening. Kind of like Metapod use harden. I'm using a Pokemon reference. I know for those of you that know, kind of like that. So let's get into it. So this is what Microsoft's currently using that we don't have tools for yet here in Merced, unfortunately, because it's expensive, which I haven't talked to my team about yet, but I'm working to get a newer version of server. But till then, we're going to be using Server 2016. So Windows Server has many tools that let administrators connect applications, networks, and web servers into an infrastructure. The 4 main options for managing your Windows Server infrastructure are Azure Arc and Azure Auto Manage, which are the new tools that came out with about 2020. So it's the one right after 2016. That's when that got implemented. Windows Admin Center has always been there. System Center has always been there. That's the one thing you see when you launch your server. You say, welcome to Server Manager. That's your System Center. And there's local management tools, like the built-in tools to create users. You can create policies in there. You can edit your firewall, stuff like that. That's all part of it. But this is what Azure Resource Manager looks like connected with Azure Bicep. HashiCorp Terraform, that's a different thing. There's a workbook, the monitor, policy, log, Defender for Cloud, Sentinel, it's another form of firewall from what I recall. Then you have a bunch of SQL stuff linked with it. These are all technically virtual machines also. So that's what this all pretty much is, that Azure is hosting on the cloud. So this is all Microsoft's deal here. That's why there's a picture of it. So let's move on. So Azure Arc and Azure Auto Manage. Azure Arc provides cloud-based management, which Dylan just said, for servers. When you enable Azure Arc, you can manage physical servers running Windows or Linux and virtual machines. So you can manage all three, which is pretty nice. But I'm not sure if it does the Mac, to be honest. Even if they're hosted outside of the Azure on your corporate network or another cloud provider. The management experience is seamless, so it feels like managing native Azure virtual machines. No, I don't have a copy of Azure I can just hand out, we can play with. I really wish we did. I'd talk to Microsoft and see what they say. So here's a brief summary of the capabilities of Azure Arc and Azure Auto Manage. Scaling across Windows and Linux servers, so it's scalable, you can implement as you need. Web-based browser interface, REST API, and command line tools. So it's literally web-based tools and command line tools, which you guys know a little bit about because you've done a bunch of IP configs for me, which is real basic commands will be your best friend once you get into networking. That's why I have you guys do it. So limited support for disconnected mode. So what it means by that is everything's not cloud-based and active, right? But some businesses don't have a server that's, or industries, not businesses, don't have a server that's connected to the internet. They just have an internal server. So that's what they're meaning about the limited support. It'll still help you a little bit, but there won't be much in terms of documentation. Focused at scale governance, security, monitoring, and reducing operating expenses. So it's just cloud-based, so it's technically cheaper, but you're paying for the license and the rental. So where would you use these as your Arc and as your auto manage? You can use as your Arc and auto manage in the following situations. You want to practically monitor the operating system and workloads running on your machines. You want to manage your system using automation, runbooks or solutions like Update Manager. You want to secure your Windows server using Microsoft Defender for Cloud. That's the new thing. Pretty much for cloud for Microsoft's way. They got rid of what was what they had before? It was just regular old Defender with no cloud integration. They just updated it what it is. You want to use Azure Policy Guest configuration to govern your Windows Server machines. You want to use Azure Auto Manage to automatically enroll, configure, and monitor Azure services that follow server management guidelines. So that's all like 2020 Server Plus. This is the meat of the bones of what it is on the machine itself. That's more cloud-based. This is what you deal with daily. The Windows Admin Center. Windows Admin Center is a set of browser-based server administration tools that gives you full control over aspects of your server infrastructure. It'll let you configure deeper and more advanced administration features for your Windows Server and cluster deployments. That's what the menu looks like. Again, sorry, I'm a little itch. I don't have copies of 2020. We could just hand out. Excuse me. That's why we learned on an older server, because we can break the older server and not worry about it and pay a licensing fee or anything crazy like that. Hence why you virtualize it. So if your virtual machine melts in terms of just breaks down, doesn't load anymore, delete it, start a new one. So Windows Admin Center is a modern evolution of an inbox management tool such as Server Manager, which you see when you start your server, and Microsoft Management Consoles and MMCs that complements other management solutions. Here's a brief summary of the capabilities of Admin Center. Covers single Windows Server deployments or hyper-governance clusters. A cluster is a bunch of machines, remember, like 3 or 4 servers grouped together. Includes a web browser-based interface, supports disconnect mode, so you can use it offline. Focused on general server management and role configuration and troubleshooting. So that's where we replace the server manager when you start up your server. You see, welcome, this is your server menu and all that. So when do you use Windows Admin Center? You can use Windows Admin Center for the following situations. You want to manage your server and clusters with modernized versions of familiar tools such as Server Manager. So it's just an evolution of Server Manager. You want to integrate your system with Azure to connect your on-premises servers or relevant cloud services with Azure Arc. You want to streamline management of Azure Stack HCI or Windows Server hyperconverged clusters such as virtualized parts. You want to use simplified workloads to create and manage VMs, storage spaces, direct volumes, software-defined networking, and so on. So it's pretty handy. You can kind of use it with a lot of things for server now. So local management tools. Windows Server comes with many local tools that lets you manage your environment. These tools are or include Server Manager, PowerShell, which I've shown you, Windows commands, which you should know by now, hopefully, Remote Server Admin Tool, which is the remote tool you guys have used from remoting into your machine without the admin rights, but that's an admin tool that's built into the server, which you can remote with. Excuse me, guys, just had lunch. So here's a brief summary of what the local management tools for your Windows Server environment can do. Covers single server deployments and deployments with fewer servers, so like 1 or 2 servers, 3 servers, it's not going to be a cluster. Includes a GUI command and command line interface. GUI stands for graphical user interface, by the way. So you click start and all that stuff. That's what that is. Support for disconnect mode, so it can work offline. Focus on general server management, role configuration, and troubleshooting. Pretty straightforward. And here's what they look like. So in the upper right-hand is your server manager, which you guys have seen. That's off actually my virtual machine. PowerShell, which I just launched from my, I think it was my work machine when I did this. So that's why it's under H. It's not run as admin. It's hard to see, but it's there. And here are the other ones that you guys have seen. Local management tools continued. Windows commands using command prompt and remote server administrator tool, which is your remote desktop. So Windows is pretty straightforward. That's why you guys play with it, mess with it. Pardon me. Let's get into it about Linux, guys. Let me get some water and I'll be back. It'll be like a second to you. It's like 2 minutes to me. All right. Linux server administration and virtual machines. What is Linux kernel and what is the role in system administration? The Linux kernel is the core of the Linux operating system, which is responsible for managing system resources like CPU, input-output devices, memory, and file system. The system administrator to understand the kernel configuration so that he/she or they or them can optimize system performance and troubleshoot issues. Pretty straightforward, right? Gotta understand what the kernel is. Okay, continuing. Linux is a major strength in computing technology. Most web servers, mobile phones, personal computers, supercomputers, and cloud servers are powered by Linux. So, like I've said before, Mac OS is built off it, iOS, whatever the phone is now. Well, I think it's called iOS as well. All built off Unix, which is the substrate, like the basis of Linux, which just backbone off it. The job of a Linux system administrator is to manage the operation of a computer system, like maintaining, enhancing, creating user accounts, which I'm probably going to have you guys do as a lab, reports, and taking backups using Linux tools, command line interface tools. So this will be the labs will be a little weirder, but you'll see what I mean when we get there. Just giving you a heads up in the lecture is all. Most computing devices are powered by Linux because it's highly stable, highly secure, and open source environment. Let's talk about Linux file systems for a second here. A Linux system administrator should have a solid knowledge and understanding of the various Linux file systems used by Linux, like ext2, ext3, and ext4. All right, extra credit opportunity. How many points should I make it? I'll make it 10, just to be fair. Write me a simple Word document, your name, put extra credit, put unit 4, and then class CTIS 17, and tell me, hey, what's ext2, what's ext3, what's ext4, then tell me the difference between all three. Like, ext2 does this, ext3 doesn't, ext4 doesn't, or might. Then ext2 does this, ext2 won't do this, ext4 doesn't do it, but ext3 does, like that. So for ext2, tell me what's the difference between 3 and 4. Then for 3, tell me what's the difference between 2 and 4. Then for 4, tell me what's the difference between 2 and 3. I know it sounds weird. Just hey, you just do a little bit of research for fun. Besides, it's 3 points. Who doesn't like 3 points? Understanding the difference between these file systems is important so that one can easily perform tasks and partition disks or configure Linux file system permissions. Moving on, file system hierarchy. The Linux file system hierarchy, FHS, tells us about the location and structure of directories and files on a Linux system. It is important to manage system files effectively. Managing root super users. The root user is the most powerful user on a Linux system because it has access to all the system files. Think of it as like admin and Windows and directories. So it's important for maintaining system security. Basic bash commands. The default shell of Linux is bash. You probably heard me say, oh, we can bash now in Windows or use bash for this. And it's usually for executing commands, like when I had you guys update it, that's a bash command on command line interface. So anytime you do a command line interface, you tell to update, you tell to grep, which is get something, or pull up the IP, that's a bash. A Linux system administrator should have the basic understanding of the command of bash to perform tasks. Handling files, directories, and users. Managing files, directories, and users is a critical part of Linux system administration. A system administrator should be able to perform the basic files and directory management tasks. It can be a little trickier in Linux. It's almost a command line. It's not user interface like in Windows. But if you practice enough in a virtual machine with Linux itself, you get pretty good at it. It will just become like a second nature. Just like when you learn how to do things the first time, guys, it seems tricky, it seems hard, but with practice, it makes perfect. That's why, I have you guys make virtual machines. If they break, it's okay. We'll make a new one. We learn. That's the whole point. So what are the duties of a system administrator for Linux? Linux system administrators has become a solid criterion, that's the right word, for an organization and institute that requires a solid IT foundation. Hence, the need for efficient Linux administrators is a requirement of the time. The job profile might change from each organization as they may be added responsibilities and duties to the role. Pretty straightforward. Duties continued. Maintain all internet requests, including to resolve DNS, Radius, Apache, that's a language, and server. MySQL, so data warehousing, PHP, that's something Python host protocol, something like that. Taking regular backups of data, create new storage procedures. Listing backup is one of the duties. So when you back it up, why you backing up, blah, 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 blah. Analyze all the error logs and fixing doing with providing excellent customer support for web hosting, ISP, and LAN customers, and troubleshooting increased support troubles. Communicating with the staff, vendors, and customers in a cultivated, professional manner at all times has to be one of his or her characteristics, or their characteristics. Enhance, maintain, and create the tools for Linux environments and its users So you can even make tools in Linux too. Don't worry, we're not going to do that, unfortunately. It's a little too squirrely. Detect and solve the service problems ranging from disaster recovery to login problems. Sometimes it's just a simple password reset. Installing the necessary systems and security tools, working with data network engineers and other personnel departments to analyze hardware requirements and make acquiring recommendations. So you're going to be telling, hey, we need to update to this, we need to buy this. 5 years out from now, you're going to have the same server, you're going to update it, you're going to move to cloud, those kinds of things. Troubleshoot when a problem occurs in the server. All right, let's talk about user and group management here. We'll get some more water. I'll be back in a second. So, user and group management. Most people edit Windows user accounts from the Settings app or the User Account section in the Control panel. However, there's another way to perform Windows user management, one that gives you access to much more detailed information about the user and groups on your PC and the permissions they have. So, if you have me in CS 12, you probably see me talk to you. You guys want to help you guys at the console a little bit, try and troubleshoot things. I have you go through a different menu, Windows admin tools. That's where this comes from. But there's also a separate command to bring it up, which I'm about to talk about now here. Talking about managing local users and groups using the snapping console that bears the same name. You can access it from the computer management, which I just mentioned briefly, or by writing it from this command down here. LUSR, local user is what LURSR stands for. MGR stands for management. R, I think is manager, just how I did it. .msc, file directly. So it pops up this window here. I took this, I think on my personal PC. So this is a picture of what it looks like. I'll probably make that a third lab, or have you guys create a user or something. I just got to think of it and record. So we'll get there. Understanding user accounts. A user account provides important information, to Windows Server Essentials, which enables individuals to access information that is stored on the server and makes it possible for individual users to create and manage their files and settings. So if you're an admin for, let's say, just one server, like the one you have now on your computer, but you want to have someone else log in to, access a specific file in there, you don't want to share through FTP or whatever, that's what you would have that for. They could RDP, they could remote from the machine and just log in locally there. That's what that's for. I'll see if that's a lab too. I don't want to overwhelm you guys. You have a midterm. I get it. I know you have other classes. Just try and be easy here. Users can log into any computer on the network if they have a Windows Server Essential user account and they have permissions to access a computer. That would be more into a domain, though. I'm not going to have you guys make a domain because it just, yeah, my eyes biting when I just think about just the pain in the butt it can be. So don't worry. Users access their user accounts with username and password. There are two main types of user accounts. Each type gives users a different level of control for the network. Standard accounts are for everyday computing, so just basic, office work. No one crazy needs rights to install software. Right side printers now have to be added through admin because there's a bug. If they were added to allow printers locally, it gives them temporary admin rights. Windows released that or notified everyone about that about 2 years ago, so that's why we do it that way too. The standard account helps protect the network by preventing users from making changes that affect other users, such as deleting files and changing network settings. Again, this is locking them out as having a regular basic account, almost like a guest account, but with privileges to save and create your local files, like a text file, Word file. They can do that, but if they want to update like a driver or something, no, they need admin privileges for that. Administrator accounts to you guys have, which is what I have on your virtual machines and personal machines, provide the most control over computer network. You should assign the administrator account type only when necessary. But now they have something where you do what's called elevator rights. There's some third-party software that I don't have a picture of it here, but we have it at work where I don't have it on my work computer too, so I can't really show you. Where they would log in and they would try to run the administrator level prompt or command or whatever, and then it pops up with this thing, hey, type in this in the box, and it sends us a code saying, hey, we're trying to access it. Do you approve or deny? And we hit approve, and then it generates a code for them to use. So the only way to even get the code to run something on a higher level is through us. So we know that they're doing it. So we have a track record of who's doing what, who did what. That's why. Server logs, all that fun stuff. When you add a user account, this assigned user can log onto the network and you can give them a user permission to access network resources such as shared folders and a remote web access site. Windows Server Essential includes an add a user account wizard that helps you provide a name and password for the user account. I'll probably have you guys make a user account for fun. Define the account as either admin or standard user. Select which share folder the user account can access. Specify if the user account has remote access to the network. Select email options if applicable. Assign a Microsoft Online Service account if applicable. That's if they have their own Windows account, whatever, or a group, work-related Microsoft. Sometimes they're made in tandem with their account, so they're all linked. Assign user groups, like are they part of accounting, are they part of marketing, are they part of research, are they part of HR, are they part of the executive suite, like things like that. I'll probably have you guys make a group. activate a user account. When you activate a user account, the assigned user can log onto the network and access network resources to which the account has permissions, such as shared folders and remote web access sites. Deactivating a user account. So when you deactivate a user account access to the server is suspended. Because of this, the assigned user cannot use the account to access a network resource such as a shared folder or a remote web access site until you activate the account. So say their account's no longer active. Excuse me. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna yawn so much. I guess the ice cream cake I had as dessert isn't helping. Yes, I had ice cream cake. I know, I'm a terrible human being. This right here is a picture I took of a zoomed out picture, and this is all the groups I have on my local machine. I believe that's where they're from. Applicator, yeah, I believe so, because I didn't do this one at work from what I recall. So groups are Windows administrators. I'm sorry, groups give Windows administrators the ability to grant rights and permissions to users within the group at the same time, without having to maintain each user individually. So imagine you had to set up everyone's account individually. So it was back in the early days, back like early mid 90s, even like when server was barely off the ground to like what server was it? That was even 2000, before pre-2000s practically. And even in 2000, they still did it. So you just teach your old dog new tricks. It takes forever for people to just grasp, not concepts because they're dumb, but because they're afraid of change. Because sometimes if you change the way people do things, they feel it's inefficient or won't work, it'll break if it's too new. You know, when new technologies brought out, like when Windows 8 came out, it broke a bunch of crap. So people stayed on Windows 7. So, anyways, that's not the point of this. I'm just giving you an example of why people don't change the way they do things sometimes. So it grants rights and permissions to users within the group at the same time. So if you make a whole group for marketing, you can give all the same kinds of permissions to access they need. You just apply it as a blanket versus I have to set up Bob, I have to set up Sue, I have to set up Mark, I have to set up Carl, I have to set up Ian, I have to set up Lily, I have to set up Rose. Imagine setting up 7 accounts with the same rights over and over and over and over. It's going to take a good while because you go through a bunch of prompts. You have to double check them to make sure they can access before they even get it. If you set it as a group, send them off until a while because you'll know it'll work because you can have one test it before they do anything. Like, oh, hey, what time are you in tomorrow, Lily? Oh, you're in at 7. Hey, email me when you're in, and I want you to just try to reach it. If you can reach it, let me know. That's how you test for a whole group. It says, hey, everyone try it. And when they're done, let's say, oh, it worked. Okay, cool. Let me email all of you, including you and your coworkers, like, hey, please try this, accessing this shared folder, whatever, for, I guess, or HR's personal records or whatever. Try accessing it, personal records too. If you get it, great. If not, let me know. We'll work with you individually and go from there. Groups like user accounts are defined and maintained as a security access manager, SAM database. Those are just containers. We clicked on each of them. I can bring it up right now because I'm being curious. Let's see. LUS MGR. Oh, I guess I don't have it on my personal machine. Must have been on my server, I think. Huh. Oh, actually, no, I ran it. Run. That's my fault. I didn't put MSC. That's my fault. You probably heard the thing. Wow, do I not have it? Wow. Anyways, I'm bored right now, guys. You can mess with that server. I probably will, to be honest. So let's zoom in just into groups so you can see it better. There are 2 types of groups. Local groups, which is local to the computer, right? Can include user accounts, creating a local account database. If the local group is on the machine that is part of the domain, the local group can also contain domain accounts and groups from Windows domains that the local group is created on a workstation and is specific to that workstation. So it can be a domain level thing or it could just be on the workstation. Global groups. A global group exists only on a domain controller and it contains user accounts from the domain's SAM database. That is, a global group can only contain user accounts from the domain on which is generated. It cannot contain any other group members, any other groups as members. A global group can be used in servers and workstations of its own domain and in trusting domain. So if it's on one big domain, like Merced would have their own domain, right? The college. And I work there, so I do. I would have my own login that I could use on any machine across campus that's a professor station that I can log in. That's what that essentially says with the whole global part. But the top one, if I had one that's only specific to, like, let's say Office S102, I'm just giving a number off the top of my head, and I'm only working in the S building and I'm only allowed to log in there, it would be either built onto the local machine or to the server within that area that controls just that area locally. That's it, nothing more. So I couldn't go like to A building, for example, log on, oh, you don't work in this building, why would you want to log in there? So you're denied. 10 more slides. Almost there, guys. So let's talk about patching. Patching, the bane of every administrator's existence. It can go really, really good. You have no issues. I'll be honest. Now there's still issues here and there, but not as bad, I guess you could say, as it was in the mid 2000s, early 2000s, and late 90s. Patching was just a headache because there were more bugs back then, believe it or not. Now it's a little less. You still find issues here and there, but it's not like catastrophic where half your server melted down and now it can't access something or read something because they put a wrong variable in the what's that thing that Microsoft uses? Hotfix. That's a patch. Framework something. Sorry, framework. Give me a second. Patch management and virtual environments. Virtual patching or vulnerability shielding, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, that might be on the midterm, acts as a safety measure against threats. Threads are what your processors have. Threats that exploit known and unknown vulnerabilities. Sorry, my sugar's all over the place. Yeah, I'm diabetic, blah, blah, blah. How does virtual patching help? Virtual patching or vulnerability shielding, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, definitely on the midterm, 5 points right here. Act as a safety measure against threats that exploit known and unknown vulnerabilities. Virtual patching works by implementing layers of security policies and rules that prevent, intercept, and exploit from taking network paths to and from a vulnerability. So you hear like 0-day exploits and AMD is subject to this, Intel's vulnerable this, Apple, whatever they're using, M1, ARC1, or whatever the hell they call their chips now, are vulnerable day one, this, and that, and they're going to patch it. It's going to slow your performance. That's what they're talking about. Is patching in general, not just virtual patching. Patching applies to even your personal machine. It's just updates, really. That's what patching is. But in a virtual environment, you're pushing it more towards a server element, which is a little bit higher level because you pull patches specifically, you pull specific hot fixes from Windows environments that you need. They'll tell you this is stable, this is in beta, you can test it, things like that. So patching is a little bit different in that reality. And now it's kind of seamless too because you can schedule it when to patch. It works just like regular Windows. I can still say 10, even though 11's about the same thing. When you patch, it's about the same you go with the Windows update. Unless there's something critical they push out, they'll tell you it's a critical update. You probably seen security updates. If you ever do updates and pay attention to what they say on the top. Let me check my personal machine. Let me see what I find. Because I know I have something pending. I've just been very lazy because I update stuff randomly. Like right now, I don't even have anything pending. So all I have is a driver for my Intel network parts, but not important. I was going to show you, but I have nothing like earth-shatteringly pending. I can't do much about it. Anywho, a good virtual patching solution should be multi-layered. This includes capabilities that inspect and block malicious activity from business-critical traffic, detect and prevent intrusions, thwart attacks on web-facing applications, and adaptability to deploy on physical, virtual, and cloud environments. So physical is the main thing because you're still hosting a machine, right? You still have a physical server that has a bunch of virtual machines. It's like having, again, Russian nesting doll machine within a machine within a machine within a machine. But they're all going to be behaving about the same when you patch them. So if you handle the flaws on the physical one, the vulnerable ones will have the same flaws. You got to do the same kind of patch. You just be doing a multiple patch deployment. Sorry, my phone went off. It's not important. So cloud, same thing technically, even though it's virtual, but it's not in front of you. It's virtual up in the cloud. It's someone else's computer you're renting, like ASW and stuff like that. What happens to unpatched IT infrastructures? Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Another question for the midterm. I'll ask why would you want to patch it? Or what happens if you don't patch it? You can list some reasons. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Just trying to mess with you guys, but non-bad. I'm just letting you know. Like I might pick this, which I probably will, because I do pull from the slides for the majority of the midterm stuff. But I usually write questions about stuff. Like I might ask you, like, when in January did this happen, or when was Microsoft founded, or what came first, like stuff like that. I try not to make you guys sweat, but I do. Again, I want to see how you guys are thinking. If you're this part of the lecture, I'm talking to them. It came to my mind because just a reminder is, again, it's my job to see, not you guys parrot like, oh, it's this and this defined. Yeah, that's great, but tell it to me how you would say it to somebody. Explain it to me how you would explain it to like your best friend that they might know about technology not as much as you do. That's why you're in this class, or you're learning about the stuff and you want to share the knowledge. How do you dumb it down? And that's kind of what I want to see. See if you guys are on the right track. See if you guys feel a little lost. We can talk about this later, but or come by office hours. We can chat, or even after class, I'll stick around and I can help you guys what you need, like always, or we can talk and just figure things out. But that's again, that's how my brain sees it. But everyone's different, guys. I get it. Anyways, once a vulnerability is disclosed, reported, or discovered, 0-day vulnerabilities, it is a race against time for enterprises, for criminals, cyber criminals, and threat actors. Threat actors are like foreign national actors. I'm not talking like spies. I'm talking like hackers that work for the Russian state. Any state you can think of has a hacking team nowadays, and they'll try to get into everyone's stuff. It's an opportunity. An average organization, for instance, reportedly takes about 69 days to patch a critical vulnerability in its application. You got to test, remember? You don't just deploy it out into the wild and watch half your server go up in flames. Businesses in the UK took an average of 60 days to determine that there had been a breach. That's actually very bad. It took them 60 days. Well, I'm sure the MGM one took a lot longer. So, I'm sighing because I'm going to repeat something you probably heard me say. If not, kudos, you're about to hear it again or for the first time. The first part of any cybersecurity risk or attack, rather, is reconnaissance. They want to look for vulnerabilities and find vulnerabilities before they exploit them. Just don't go patch into a government server, like for the U.S. government, for example, just brute force your way in. Like that's going to set off bells, whistles, alarms, and the feds will be at your door by tomorrow morning or in 5 minutes. It's just an example. I'm not saying I'm doing anything like that, but or anyone in general I know. It's just more of a, that's kind of a procedure. So if you can figure out why they're trying to break in you, why they're reconning you, like pretending to be someone, or just someone snooping around, all you can see, you get logs of this stuff. And you're like, oh, that's weird. You can block those IPs from that country or from that specific one. Anywho, just a little bit off tangent, but kind of the 68 things you go like, hey, that's pretty bad. Normally they're usually determined within 10 days now or less. Anyways, this window of exposure leaves unpatched systems susceptible to threats in 2020, January 2020. So that's like 3 years ago now, 4 almost. Threat actors launched attacks against unpatched servers to install ransomware, putting networks of over 80,000 companies at risk. So that's a pretty big number. So you guys doing into security, there's always going to be work in cybersecurity. It's never going to go anywhere. There's always going to be a shortage of people in cybersecurity because a lot of people don't want to handle or get into it. Just hint into for the future. You guys are curious about it. It's something you can look into more. Let me get some water because I'm parched again. Give me a minute, guys. All right. So here's how virtual patching augments an organization's existing security knowledge as well as vulnerability and patch management policies. It's a mouthful. This is, in other words, this is how virtual patching helps. It buys you additional time. Virtual patches give security teams the time needed to assess vulnerabilities and test and apply the necessary and permanent patches, so you get tests for in-house applications. So what's that mean? Like, I work for a college, obviously, right? And we have a bunch of in-house stuff like attendance tracking. Let's see, we have a lot of that's in-house. Attendance tracking is usually the big one. The other one's like report generation is all in-house. So it's a lot of custom software that they write. So they got to test to see if the Microsoft patches breaks things. That's what they're saying about that. Virtual patching provides time for developers and programmers to fix flaws in their code. So there could be like a misplaced 0 or misplaced 1 or a misplaced clause. Excuse me, depending on the language. I don't mean to burp. Just lunch is not agreeing with me. Could just cause something to break. They might have to shift something else or handle it a different way and all that stuff. That's why it's talking about time. It avoids unnecessary downtime. Virtual patching provides enterprises more freedom to enforce their patch management policies on their own schedule. You patch when you want, essentially. This mitigates the potential revenue loss caused by unplanned or superfluous distributions of business operations. Normally, you patch after hours, and that's the light peeking into my garage. You normally patch like around 10 p.m. when no one's there, only the janitor, and pray to God the janitor doesn't have keys to your server closet and unplugs your server. It's a joke, but normally you patch in the evening when no one's there at work, essentially. So you can run it, leave it alone, then it'll send you an email alert or a text when it's done or it's broken or didn't work. You'll know before anyone goes in the office, so I'll give you time to revert the server to a previous state. Then you send an email saying, hey, we tried to do this last night, unfortunately it didn't take, we have to do a little more research, so please do your due diligence, blah, 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 blah. Follow these security protocols. Till then, blah, 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 suspicious emails, don't click on this, don't respond to things you don't know, etc. That's why you kind of see those sometimes. Like, I'm sure you get the Merced emails like I did, like, oh, we have a new student intern position open. Please send it to philip13@gmail.com for consideration. Why would someone in the college want an email application go to somebody outside? They're just fishing for information. Anyways, sorry guys, kind of went on about a tangent, but just trying to show you how they kind of go hand in hand. Although the phishing one doesn't, but it's more of a security thing. Improves regulatory compliance. Virtual patching help organizations meet timeline requirements such as those imposed by the EU General Data Protection Policy regulation. That's a thing they have. Payment card insurance industry (PCI). So they have to be very secure with digital payments and stuff, and make sure it doesn't get intercepted midway with something called the man-in-the-middle attack. And I'm not going to get into it, but if you're curious, look into it. Maybe I'll make extra credit. If you guys are curious, look at what a man-in-the-middle attack is and let me know what it is. Yes, I know. I'm offering you guys extra credit. Provides an additional layer of security. Virtual patching provides security controls to components in the IT infrastructure for which patches are no longer issued. Legacy systems, like older, like a lot of ATMs out here. Even still, I've seen running XP to this day, but they're off the network. They're not plugged in, so they're fine. But imagine having an XP machine this day still plugged into a network. You'd be so susceptible. And end of support, OS is like Windows Server 2008, and that's now long in the tooth. It's dead, and are also possibly prohibitively costly to patch. You can buy additional support for like I think 2018 now. R2 you can buy it for another year. They'll support you. Then after that, they stop supporting it completely. You pay out the nose for it because it's very customized support. So there's only 4 people in the No, it's like half a team that they dedicate to that at Microsoft, and they move them on to the next project. So the more you know. Depending on who you use, we use mostly Microsoft servers. I have like 2 to 3 Linux servers I'm not allowed to play with. I know. Love to give you guys pictures, but they won't let me. Provides flexibility. Virtual patching reduces the need to roll out workarounds or emergency patches. It eases the tasks, for instance, of gauging specific points in the network that require patching, or if patching needs to be applied to all systems. So you just figure out what you need to patch, where you need to patch. Almost done, guys. This is 35 slides. Second part of this lab. Second part of this unit is 44 slides. So I'll probably record half of it today and the other half tomorrow. So lecture might be 2 to 3 videos, depending on how I feel. So let's talk about hardening. Metapod use harden or Kakuna use harden. I'm kidding. What is server hardening? Server hardening is a system hardening process that aims to protect and secure server infrastructure against cyber attack by reducing its attack surface. Remember, you cannot mitigate 100% risk. I always remind that or say that. How does server hardening process work? The server hardening process works by taking steps to guarantee that all aspects of the server are as secure as possible. That's essentially what you're doing by hardening. You're limiting what they can see. The importance of server hardening, it is vital to take preemptive action and secure your organization's server. If your server becomes compromised due to a hacking exploit, its vulnerabilities, you no longer have full control of the server. You don't want someone else taking you over. So that's like having, let me see if I can find that picture. Having your username be admin and your password be admin. It's essentially that's what they're kind of talking about. Would you set up a local account? I'm just doing because I'm finding it funny. It's a meme, yeah, I know. I work in memes. It's relatable, right? Yeah, essentially, this is what I was thinking of. Like, I know it's Reddit. It's fine. What the hell just yelled? See, that's what I'm talking about. That's a big security hole. Would you have that? Probably not. I wouldn't. I don't. All my passwords are unique for every account on every site. They're never the same. And there's no variations of them either. So, anyways, with the hackers' newfound access, they can send spam email, attack other servers, or install malware, all of which could result in corrupted devices or data unplanned downtime, damage reputation, and extraordinary costs. It's expensive. I don't even want to know how much percent spent to recover, honestly, from last year's ransomware they were hit with. Yes, I know they were hit with ransomware. That's all I know about it. I don't know much else. But if it doesn't come back after a day, you know something's up. So, where are my controls? Sorry, guys, give me a second. I minimized. So moving on, guys, 4 more slides. Server hardening process. So this is the process of server hardening. These are all the steps I have for it. There's about 9 steps. You don't necessarily have to do them in any particular order, but each step should be completed to ensure your server is hardened and secure against cyber attacks. So this might be another midterm question asking, hey, how many steps are there? Oh, 9. Oh, cool. That's like. Then, well, list a couple, or which ones do you find the most interesting? Which one would you implement first? That's just your opinion. Something like that in the midterm. Don't worry, I won't make this too hard. I promise. All right, secure server location. Well, yeah, the area where your server is hosted has to be secure. Place a server in a safe location. Well, kind of like duh. Verify that the settings are ideal temperature, because you need to, and remember, these things generate a lot of heat. Proximity to your office or anyone else's office that can reach it. And that the area is locked and restricted only to approved staff. So, for example, just let me put this out there. You're working at Acton Corporation. I'm not giving a name. You're in charge of the server. Would you put the server in the entrance of the building where people can see it? No. Would you put it in the janitor's closet next to the bathrooms? No. Would you put it in the bathrooms? Maybe, because some people are weird. No, I'm kidding. No, you wouldn't. Would you put it somewhere by your office in the back of the IT department that's locked behind 2 different kinds of doors with 2 different kinds of locks? One physical and one swipe or biometric, which is like fingerprint, eyeball. What's the other one they can do now? Fingerprint, eyeball are the big ones. Or they scan your face. Like some higher level stuff. But yeah, that's kind of secure. That's what I'm talking about. It's physical security I'm talking about. Those secure location, physical location. I'm just kidding about the bathroom. I don't know, but if you do, I mean, some of the stuff I've seen pictures of in just people that work at IT. I'm part of some groups. Don't worry, it's something crazy. But if you're curious, I can share some later. They work for like restaurant companies like Yum Brands, Taco Bell, KFC, Pizza Hut, like all those kind of brands. And they literally put it like right next to like a fry cooker up in the corner. It's like, Jesus, are you guys praying for a fire? Because that's what's gonna happen if it falls in. Like the router is just or switch is just hanging there, but like 2 wires just dangling like this, like 5+ years. Looks like a pendulum is about to like snap if it moves the other way. But that's Neither here nor there. I'm giving examples of security placement. Those are not secure. Control access permissions. Instituting the principle of least privilege effectively verifies that important systems, programs, configurations, and other operations are only accessible to those who need them. So you limit user accounts on what they can access and what they need. So like again, would marketing need access to stuff from HR? Probably not, unless they want to find someone's name, they can look to the directory. Or in R&D. I don't think R&D needs access to anything from, I don't know, vendors. I mean, they want reports, I guess, but like, do they need to talk to Jimmy from like Cisco? I don't think so. They're not marketing to him. They're marketing outside. You guys make sales or whatever. Limited access to the business's most crucial business knowledge and operations creates an additional layer of security that makes the server compromise less likely. But remember, guys, 99.9% majority of our attacks come from internal disgruntled employees who kind of like expose the vulnerabilities to people that they know can do damage. So a lot of it's inside attack. Insider is what it's called. No, that's not credit. I'm just sharing. A firewall is a barrier, so set up your firewall. That's very important, right? The firewall is a barrier set in place to separate the computer network from any external sources, and it's a security system for your computer network that monitors incoming and outgoing traffic. Setting up your firewall is a wise way to monitor traffic within your network and block unwanted traffic coming from outside the network, but you don't prevent attackers from entering the network in the first place. Yeah, if you put up a big old firewall, it's pretty hard to break into those. Manage configurations. There are multiple types of configurations to manage in your IT environment, such as users, server, networks, and NTP, network time protocol. So how often do you have release up for your own computers? So if I do a command right now, mine's configured to be, I think, on. Let me see, lease. There you go. Just show it to you. That's what it's talking about too. See, my lease is good. Well, I guess my orbs do this now. I have a mesh system. So my lease is only good for a day, but my computer will be on for like, or sleep for like 3 days sometimes. Anyway, actively management of these different settings ensures consistency across all systems in your IT environment. Oops, I disappeared. All right. Cool. I guess I'm disappearing into ether. Active management of these systems ensures consistency. It also helps you gain visibility into systems across your server and know how they impact each other. Secure user accounts. Protect the user accounts on your server. Keep username and passwords private and make them strong and unique. Also consider using multi-factor authentication when possible to heighten the level of security. What's multi-factor authentication, you may ask? So I have it. It generates a code for work. And when I log in, well, I'm an admin. I don't really have to do it. But if I log in like at home to my mail app or mail here, it tells me, hey, check your phone. We're sending you a code right now. You open your code, open the thing. Let me see if I can pull it up. Show you what it looks like. It's a Microsoft phone. Oops, I opened Office. Give me a second, guys. Authenticator. If you have Blizzard, I think they made you do it now. So see, it's not the best. Damn it. I'm sorry, guys. So there we go. Oh, damn it. Hold on. They disappear again. There we go. There I am. It's not the greatest, but it punches up a code. Let me see if I can. Ah, dang it. Almost had it. Come on. Anyways, it generates a string of numbers I gotta punch in when I go to access email or something externally. I'm sorry, guys. This filter isn't helping. We just implemented it because we just want to get our security up to date. So that was a nightmare. That's only on the staff side, and it's worked so far. People get it. I'm praying when we get the student one. That's not going to be fun because we're not in charge of it, but they're going to reach out to us anyways. So you apply patches to vulnerabilities, apply software patches as soon as possible, and ensure your IT environment is continuously updated to ensure the highest security. Cyber criminals can easily exploit unpatched software on a server. So be sure to install updated software to protect those vulnerabilities. Read about the patch management process to learn more about effectively. I talked about it. Remove unnecessary software. Keep your network tidy by removing software and applications you no longer use. It is difficult to identify hackers if they have access to your data through software you're not actively using. Plus, organization network is much easier to secure. Oh, it's 2 periods there. Interesting. Backup, plan a backup strategy. We get into that in Unit 5. I'll talk about backups and why, or cold site, cold site, hot site, warm site, types like of drives and stuff, magnetic tape, all these kinds of things. So don't worry, we'll get to backup. This is just something you can implement. Plan a backup strategy. Back up your server data to ensure critical organization information is not lost in a cyber attack. Using designated backup software can help guarantee that your data is backed up correctly. Create a backup strategy that will best serve the needs of your organization. Continually monitor your server. Continually monitoring, your server is a step that never ends in a server hardening process. Server monitoring allows you to be aware of any activity on your system. tracking logins, and know who's accessing certain server areas. This knowledge will enable you to be proactive in securing your server. So another way is you would review logs, right? You say, oh, Bob from marketing just changed his password last week. That's normal, but it's out of like the 72-day window you guys use, for example, like every 3 months or 4 months, whatever. And you're like, oh, that's weird. You changed it in 2 weeks ago again. And now he works in marketing, but he's trying to access stuff in, I don't know, in the vendor folder. Or I don't know, think of something here. HR. Why would someone marketing try to access like a personal records folder in HR? That's how it would be a red alarm in the logs. You would have to look. You can set up on a rule for that generates the logs, and they can tell you like, oh, he's trying. If he accesses more like once, they reach it once by accident, like they see the folder, click on it. Oh, whoops, my finger slipped. That happens. That's what I would do it like 2 times within the same day, or within the same frequency of a day or day and a half, however you have it. Like, okay, what the hell's going on? Then you would pull them and say, hey, we need to talk when you get a chance, come see us, blah, blah, blah. Or talk to them, hey, you pull them in here, we just want to have a chat. Don't worry, they're not in trouble. And just say, hey, what's going on, dude? We trying to do this and this and this, yada, yada, yada. Be friendly about it, be cordial. Don't assume everyone is broken into or anything, but just be like cautious about it and just talk to them. That's where customer service comes into play, like always. So guys, here's what we covered: Windows Server Administrator, virtual environments, Linux Server Administration, virtual environments, or just in general Windows Server or Linux Server Administration. It handles the same way in virtual environment. Oh, look at me, I'm brighter because my things were dark. User and group management, cool. Patch management and virtualized environment, and server hardening. So this is the end of the first part of Unit 4. I will catch you guys in the next one. Till then, take it easy.